Hey guys, we hit level 100. We did it. Fuck yeah. We used primarily the strategy from a video a few days ago. The Glunnet Karen's XP farming strat. So that strategy works. Um, it had its ups and downs. The first day we got 40% XP. It was pretty smooth sailing. I felt really good. Then on the second day, I died. It was pretty horrible because you lose a couple hours of progress when you die, but I learned from it. We finally hit 100 on the third day. We didn't die again, thank God. Now, I think I learned a bit from the 99 to 100 push that I didn't really think about when I was leveling before, because I don't know, maybe I just got lucky, but I have a few things I'd like to share with you guys. Let's start off with simply some of the data I recorded. Now, these are not even half of all the maps I ran. Running a map is probably less than 1% XP. So I have 44 maps here. You're probably going to need to do over 100 even if you don't die. All of these maps were using the Glunnet Karen strategy, so they were all modded with Beyond on the map device. The maps themselves weren't necessarily rolled with Beyond, but we at least had some form of Beyond on it. And we also used the polished Abyss Scarab because of how that works with the XP farming in that strategy. So we'll just go off this data. I think this is enough to draw some conclusions. Now, how I recorded these numbers, we have just the map tier here, we have the map name, we have the XP per hour measured in millions, and the way I got these numbers was right before I entered the map, I enter a command /reset_XP. And what that does is it sets the counter down here which says your XP per hour. It like makes it refresh. And then I went in the map, I'd run the whole map, and as soon as I killed the map boss at the end, I would just hover down here and see what the XP per hour was. So this XP is just purely the XP inside the map. It has nothing to do with like map crafting or anything. And then also when I was checking that number, I would also check the Scourge counter and write that down as well. Now these lines aren't really too important. I started off writing down the exalted orbs I dropped. I don't think I kept very good track of that. I wrote down some of the div cards. Here I wrote down if it was like NEM 3 or if I randomly had a Mirror of Delirium. Again, like this is, I could delete these, they're not too important. But let's get into these numbers. I didn't run many T14s because my favorite maps were Silo and Arcade, and those were T15 and 16. I also assumed since the monster level is quite low in T14s, they wouldn't give very much XP per hour. So this is too small of a sample size to really draw conclusions, but from the 4 maps I recorded, it was an average of 19 million XP per hour. Now when we look at the T15s, the average XP per hour is 22.5. It ranges from, Park and Lighthouse were terrible, 16 and 13. But sometimes in Silo you'll get upwards of 27 million. On average for Silo, 24 million per hour. That's really good. In hindsight, if I were to do this again, I would probably run exclusively Silo. I think this is the safest and the best map to run. Now, let's look at T16s. I ran more T16s than 15s. In the second half, when I wasn't tabulating my data, it was mostly Arcade. Now, here we have 24.3. So actually the XP per hour is very similar to Silo. Probably Silo's so high because it's just a line. It's so easy to go through that. The downside of doing arcade, well, one of them was I died to the boss, and we'll go over that in a second. But another downside is T16 monsters are a little bit slower to die, so it's just inherently a little bit riskier, because when the monsters are alive, that's when they're dangerous, right? But arcade was still pretty good. I mean, I ran a lot more than this. I ran probably like 3 times as many maps as this, and I only died once. I do like arcade, so, you know, it is what it is. Now, I did also try some alternative ways of getting XP, and I recorded the numbers for that. I did a bunch of delve. I did 30,000 sulfite worth of delve. I was at depth 400 and I just kept digging down, so 400 is well past the XP cutoff, so you should, if you want to do delve, don't do it this deep. It's kind of rippy. I was just a little bit cocky, that's why I was doing that. It was 13 million experience per hour, so it's a lot worse than the Glennet Cairn strategy. We did a 4-way Legion fight and a 5-way Legion fight. 4-way gave 20 million, which is comparable to the, it's a little bit less than the Glennet Cairn strat. 5-way gave 26, which is a little bit more, but still pretty comparable. The thing is, Toxic Rain is not a very good or a very fast Legion farmer. So if you had a friend that could just like mega carry you in these things, and they had a specialized build for doing 5-ways, I'm sure this number would be way, way higher. But this is what it was for me doing it with a friend who just stood in the middle resetting. And in hindsight, if you want to do a 5-way, you probably don't want to have a second person in the map unless they're stronger than you, because the health of the mobs goes up quite a bit, and Toxic Rain isn't fast enough that we just need someone running in and out, resetting constantly. You can just reset for yourself. But I digress. Probably just don't invest in emblems to begin with. We did a Grand Heist, 13 million experience per hour, so it's the same as Delve. It's safer than Delve, but the experience isn't that great. The best experience per hour for a 99 to 100 was pure Chayula Breachstones. Those gave, on average, a little bit over, I think it was actually more than 80 million, but I just wrote down 80 million. Somewhere around 80 million. So that's more than 3 times as much as the Glennet Cairn strat. If you were to do pure Chayula from 99 to 100, or maybe you did some of the experience through the strat and you just got tired and you wanted to get some easy XP, you should go on the TFT Discord and search for rotations, or just post in the rotations that you're looking for a Chayula rotation. Because the way you should be doing these is in a group of 6 where everybody brings one Breachstone. Because that way you just run through 6 maps as 6 and you run to the end, you skip the boss. It's pretty fast and it's just much more cost efficient. And if you're using the TFT Discord, you could try hosting a pure Chayula Breachstone rotation. The advantage of hosting it is once you get to the end and all the loot drops, any maps and any scarabs, basically any fragments at all, not just scarabs, those are allocated to the map device owner. So if you coordinate the rotation, you do get a little bit extra in terms of profits back. We also, just for fun, we did a few Blood Aqueduct runs. You get 1.4 million XP per hour. This works out to be something like 90 minutes for 1%. So yeah, don't do blood aqueducts, if that wasn't already obvious. Alright, now let's go over my death on day 2. So I died to the boss of Arcade. Or I don't know if I died specifically to the boss, but I died while fighting the boss. Let's bring up the map mods. So this map was cursed with LA weakness, and if you watched my previous video, you'll know I said this was the second most dangerous mod. And look at stupid old me, I ran the map anyways. I didn't heed my own warnings. Now, to be fair, when I went into this map, I had put on some jewels that overcapped my resistances to 95. So technically, even though I was cursed with LE weakness, I was still at 75 maximum res. Does this map look that rippy? It doesn't look that rippy. Like, nothing really sticks out at all. And that's why I ran it. But that's because I didn't do my research. Now, look at this line. Monsters deal 120% extra physical damage as lightning. Now, this is what you should do. When you pick a few maps, you need to do this. Go to PoEDB and type in the map name. So PoEDB arcade map. Now click on the link, and you're going to want to look up here. It's the middle link. This gives you information on the map bosses. Arcade has 2 map bosses, Herald of Ashes, Herald of Thunder. Let's look at Herald of Ashes. This shows his movesets. Well, look what he has here. Flammability. Enemies have minus 40 fire resistance. So if he hits me with this curse, even though I'm counteracting the LE weakness, I'm not going to have enough buffer to counteract this. And it's going to lower my fire res below 75. But this map had lightning extra lightning. So let's look at Herald of Thunder. Now when you go here, like this is obviously not a boss. This website's kind of janky. There's like a bunch of different Herald of Thunder stuff. You gotta find the map boss up here. There we go. Let's look at his moves. He has conductivity. So what I assume happened when I died was that he cursed me with conductivity, and then either I got hit with his lightning spells, or like there were many mobs around him. There was probably like 100 mobs. Probably one of them hit me with some physical damage, and then I got tagged with the map mod for extra damage lightning, which is hitting me, and I have very bad resistances because I'm cursed. But either way, I died. And it was my own fault because I didn't actually know the movesets of the arcade boss because I didn't do my research. So I suggested you guys should probably do Silo. So let's look at the Silo map boss together. Renkar, the Kiln Keeper. What are his movesets? You can go through them at a glance. So he does fire damage and fizz damage, and we can see he does not curse us. So that's one big plus for doing Silo over Arcade. The boss doesn't curse you. So yeah, just read these over so you can see what's like the worst case scenario that can happen to you. And obviously you don't have to do Silo. Do whatever map you enjoy running. But go in PoEDB and research the boss, because you're going to be running that map 100 plus times. You gotta be prepared for the worst case scenario. Now, I think that sort of wraps up the advice I wanted to give you guys. I'd be interested to know in the comments how your leveling is going as Toxic Rain, and if you've tried the Glunnet Karen strat, how it's been working out for you guys. The strat is a little rippy because it involves beyond monsters and you're juicing that map fairly considerably, but Toxic Rain is pretty tanky, so I think we can take advantage of that. I don't know, I'd love to hear it. As always, feel free to subscribe if you want more Toxic Rain gameplay or just general PoE strategy. and I will see you guys in the next one.